Anyone who has worked in high technology, in the high technology sector of any sort really, recognizes that innovation is not a linear process. It is highly iterative and cyclical and complex, and there are many visits to square one, much more common to visit square one many times than to get to the finish line. Okay? Nevertheless, retrospectively, you can sort of map innovation onto a more or less linear sort of set of development stages through early stage science and discovery, through to proof of concept, some sort of functional demonstration, through to an actual commercializable product. And there are, in really all sectors, structural, systemic barriers to progress. Here, we're going to refer to that as the valley of death, okay? And typically, that occurs at a relatively late stage, that stage which impedes the transition from proof of concept through to some sort of commercial viability. And these are generic, okay? They arise from the inextricable links between innovation and risk, the incentives to individual people, okay? In addition to policy, but individual people and their reward structures. Certainly it affects academics in operating across these boundaries. It affects industry, where in these valley of death regimes, the cost to risk ratios change rapidly. Okay? There are many people who in fact refer to two valleys of death, one slightly greener and a little bit less deep and dark than the commercialization one, but an early stage one that is much more about taking science and technology through to early stage proof of concept demonstrators. And it's all completely generic. I would just make three observations specifically in the context of carbon and the energy sector. Firstly, there is really no what you might call garage culture. Okay, this is sort of an American expression which I quite like. Came out of the internet bubble. Okay, you can't easily transform behavior and create new energy solutions. It's a complex landscape. You need behavioral change, you need new technologies, you need uptake and acceptance. And it's a complex process. You can't really do that on the cheap, on the slide, in your spare time. Just the composition of the audience today attests to the vastness of the interdisciplinary landscape in which we're operating. That in itself is an additional complexity, which we'll have to address. And thirdly, and probably most distinctly in this sector, is the question of underlying quantitation and measurement science issues. Okay? Unlike many other sectors, does this product actually work faster, better, cheaper than others? Okay? The underpinning notion of measurement and quantification, okay, the carbon budget, those sorts of issues, are themselves part of the research strategy, the research fabric of this sector, and that is something which we're going to come back to several times in the context of today's discussion. So I think that those are singular things that affect the valleys of death in the carbon and energy sector, which we may be able to keep in mind as we go through.